Good morning. Okay, so where are we up to Chazada? I don't mind it here. What page is it? Okay. So in Chazada, we're up to almost finished also. Okay, I say, we said it, we'll just read it again. So Olam Chesed Yibana, meaning to say that the whole Seder Shtalshalus, the Sibba of the Bria of the world in Seder Shtalshalus, it's not the ultimate Sibba. When he says Sibba, it means the first move, cause. So that's in Agilu, that's what Chesed means. As explained already, therefore implicit is the union of Bria Soilamus, Giloi to otherness. Hence, it's appropriate to say not only Bria, but Yitzira. Even Yitzira, a tzir of a makabel. We might even suggest that since the beginning is Oir, implicit in Oir is the Inyan Akeli, at least, Inyan Akeli. Or again, recipient. So that's already a tzir of chesed, a mashpia and a makabel, Oir and Akeli. It's all implicit, although not articulated. And certainly nothing has emerged. It's all bleakville. But therefore, Yitzir is Shayach. But Chosim, Ashebar Chosim V'Kala, no. There, the Inyan of Yitzir is not Shayach. There's no tzir, there's no form. Why? Because the Inyan of Chosim, Chuz Darge, refers to what? The Chofetz Chesed. Why should there be the binyan of Chesed? Why Olamus? What's behind that? What's behind Geder in Agiloi? And the answer is the Pchir of Atzmos that it should be. But that's a Yerida. Even though it's a Pchir of Atzmos, it's still called Chus Darge, Lagabe Atzmos Mamish. The Eibishter obviously doesn't need to choose anything. So it's a Yerida.
What's the notion of otherness? What's the difference in Yitzir and Bria? It's levels, higher and lower. But once you have the notion of otherness, why can't it apply to Yitzir as well? It's in together are and something else, and then it has all its relative levels.
Because
You're saying Bria is possible by the Chassid Kal.
Because there's already Geder Oir. There's already Geder Oir. At the Bechira of the Eibishter wants, what it is, I make it clear. The question is good to make it clear, and thanks for asking it. It clarifies it. The Bechira is Asal Zayin Yin Bechira. For what? There already, it hasn't been articulated there yet. L'chorah, even what? Mashpia, Makabel, just the Eibishter decided to have a decision. That's the Ma'ila Mikol Geder Hatzir of what the nature of the decision is going to be.
So I feel like we should have to Bria as well. Bria is already also already. It's already very something.
Right. So once the Oir comes into existence. Oh, you mean saying no? So the word Bria. What does Bria mean? Oris and Kalim?
It's already it's already a world. It's not like a Tzilas where it's like completely bound up. It's already a world with that. Then it just descends. Okay, Yitzir is more formed.
It's only a world because we, in retrospect, understand what it means. Bria just means Veranlichkeit. Something will be. In retrospect, now we don't know of anything else other than higher, lower world, Keli. So Yitzira means already a form to that, what's going to be. So we can't separate the what's going to be from the notion of there's going to be, because you don't know any other be. But in the Indian of Bria, it's Vedzayin, first Vedzayin. No tzir at all. We call it now Oilimus. Retrospect, Oilimus. But even if he used those words Oilimus there, that could mean something else entirely too. What doesn't mean Oilimus as it means for us now, post Yitzira, post together, Giloi, and then, now the emphasis, it's all like, all this is known. It's all known. If he wants, as they merge all the way down to Asiya. That's all known in his choice.
So that's the question.
But in terms of, yeah, it's all there. So wait a second. It's all there, Taka. This is what I add something. Okay. But in terms of, to use our language, an observer, what's articulated? What's begoloi? But begoloi comes out when there's this chavitz chesed. Oh, Atzmos made a choice. So you read a choice. There, it's not nizgalet in the process. By divine design, the Eibishter is, if you like, that's what he calls it the Yerida. He calls it a tzimtzum. Already at the highest levels, he's concealing himself. But that's the whole point of it all. So yes, mitzad atzmos, there's absolutely no concealment at all. Mitzad atzmos, Nisav HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is all the protim of all of history and every detail that will emerge in creation, mamish. But that's only mitzad shleimus atzmos. There's no gedorim for that. In Geder, which he wants to create Geder, he wants to create a process and a mile and a mata. So the observer with the finest glasses, ruchnis, at that level of chosen, which is tchira, it's not articulated there what this is at all. There's no tzir, but there's a big chiddush. There's a choice of something. God chose to choose. So that's bria. Calls that bria in the broader sense of a choice is definitely a move from atzmos. But what form is that going to take? It's not nizgala there at all. Even the idea of oil and keli, which we know nothing else other. That's the whole system of yes and no. It's a binary system. But that's where we're post the system. So we can't. Of course, that's what it is already there. It's not. There's the potential for things that we cannot conceive, totally beyond conception, beyond conception. But it's calling it bria in the most general sense. There's a choice. It's definitely a fundamental big change from atzmos, which is just God and not even the possibility of anything else. So something has happened, something else. That's bria. There's a change here. And then comes Yitzira. Oh, there's going to be a Giloi and Makabel. Form already is taking shape, what this bria is. Even though it's at atzmos, all of this is all there. There's no I'll find out later. I'm just going with the flow. I don't know what I want. We'll see. But that's it's an atzmos. It's an atzmos, and it's not. There's no giloi of that at all. There's no expression of it. It's totally within. The observer would not be able to ascertain it. It still belongs to, we learned in the previous Maimer, the Metzias built in Metzias Nimtzah, so no Metzias could access it. That's good trachten. It's not pashut, obviously. We talk about atzmos, nothing is. But l'chora.
This wouldn't apply to atzmos.
Meaning
that this whole gather potential and not yet formed.
What am I going to answer you?
It's all relative.
Yeah, it's just all relative. But at the end of the day, Atzilus has Tzir. We're talking Chachma, Bina, Das, and that's
Exactly.
so.
As something is already
So what's your silent?
already a system. So
Yeah.
this whole thing can apply to Tzilus instead of Bria. Bria is already a step way beyond the Tzilus in that sense of
He means Bria in the broader sense that includes Atzilus. Sure, he's saying Bria is the Eir Sof is Bria already. Not in the Eir Sof. I'm sorry. then Chafetz Chesed is already Bria. That's what we're saying now. The Indian of Bria is already there, but not the Tzir. But not the Tzir. What the nature of that is going to be has not emerged. So what are you asking now? Are you clear? It's clear? Tzilis is the chavadering of Tzir. He's saying even Oyer is in the big picture Tzir, because implicit in Oyer is already some kind of system. Revelation, it already implies not revelation. There's a lot of implications there. But in the Pchide, Asal Zayin Epis, there's no Tzir there. So there's Bria, there's the fundamental change. We're going from Atzmos to there's going to be what? Not articulated. Even though again, it's an Atzmos, it's all in Atzmos known. We're talking about in the Giloy, the process of the whole emergence of Ishtalshalos and the whole, there's no Giloy there of what that's going to be. Other than Sfet Zayin Epis, and that's enough. That's justified to call it Bria, but not Yitzirah. Somewhat clear, yeah. Yeah, for us, the something means already it's going to have Gdorim, it's going to have Tzir. Now, we could even go further and say, yes, but it's just what that Tzir is going to be is not revealed there. It's like the nebula formless completely energy that must take form, take, but there's no what is completely could be anything. Potential for any Yitzirah. So we could even say that there needs to be Yitzirah there, but only potential. But there's a real Bria, there's a real choice here, articulated. Atmos is going from his self-contained I am to I want. What? Completely not said. So there's a Bria, there's a foreign new reality. And what is it? Which is going to have some form, but not articulated at this level. Or we could even say Lav Davke. I mean, the Bria could be no form, just the choice to have a choice, but not even to go further with a choice. That could also be. Why not? That's what is not bound by any rule. Stop there.
But then it stops here. There's no point, obviously. It's all mapped out.
But wait, hang on. The point of having the tacht is not a given. It's all the choice. It's all a b'chira chavsh. It's all a choice.
The first notion of otherness was for that tacht.
But now post the whole thing we know. Now we know that. But there it's not articulated there. The first place.
More than everything on the way down
because here's the answer. It's not like we always learn. Here's the answer.
It's all true, but in the gilui of it, in the process of it, it's not articulated. V'haraya. Malachim, highest oilimus. They just didn't get this. What is it? Why are you going there? It's not articulated. And all that's all mistad the kavanah, not to articulate, in order to create a tachten that has to wonder, what's my mila? Why am I here? That the alien dismisses as valueless. That's all part of the process. Not to reveal the kavanahs or atmos and articulate it in his process of expressing himself. So to give rise to first the big chiddush of Sfet Zayin Epis, and then the Epis is starting to take, there's going to be Gilui and Keli, but that could be fulfilled in Atzilus already, or even higher. That's going to be Mamash Tachten doesn't emerge till the Tachten actually happens. Till the Tachten actually emerges, nowhere is it seen that this is the Kavanas Atzmus. So it's only after the fact, Torah is given, and then look, so this came along and said the Kedira B'Tachtenim after thousands of years of Torah. And tremendous opposition. Not the I'm talking about. Kavan is alien, transcend the goof, not. We're brought up, we're weaned on this. It's a mighty chiddush that Chassidus came along to heaven protested, and the whole Torah world protested, and in the Chassidish world protested, within the Alter Rebbe. You're going too far and bringing this down in Seichel. To bring in the kurs to the Seichel, gosh, we should understand it, talk about Atzmus. This is, Alter Rebbe went too far. And then the opposition of the Rebbe, which is the greatest opposition, in a way. Huh? Yeah, yeah, it's an old, yeah.
What you're saying is that there was such a fundamental shift. That somebody who doesn't have this born in a world of fear without thinking understanding, that's not Judaism. That's Judaism is angels and loftiness.
Elam Haba, Gan Eden. Push it. The whole point is Gan Eden. It's still a chiddush. But it's breaking down the barriers, for sure. I mean, it's almost dissolved all the barriers now. Now it's the language everywhere. I remember how many years ago was this when my Zeta title, my father-in-law's father. So when he passed away, the early 80s. So at his house, the Shloshim, and he was a communal figure, as you know. And he was involved in the establishment of all the Moses, almost all the Torah Moses in the city, Shiva Gedola and Chabad. Everybody was there. They made a mistake and asked me to speak. So it was a whole bomb. I spoke there about this Nakuda Tachlis Kavod Tchias Amesim. And I said, but the mouth fell open. I said, this is what Chassidus brings this. That neshamas are in Gan Eden for thousands of years, the Ovis and the Moishe having aliyahs every day, are destined to come back into the guf. It's a punishment. So obviously, they're coming back to the guf. The mata is even a deeper connection than the highest madrega. It's Pasha Teraya. No one could argue, but it was like a whole stir. Kant, by the way, now thinking just fast forward, like 2 years ago, I think whatever else I spoke for Hatzola in the Ultramont home. And the whole point was that Hatzola is not just helping a physical body. It's not just a means for so now you can go and whatever it's do neshama things, and now you can own your place up there because you can do a mitzvah. Whatever barichas, Chazal, the kavana is the guf. You guys don't do something secondary. A healthy Jewish body. This is, and then there was beautiful. I'm just saying, fast forward 10 years, 25 years later, whatever it was. That same crowd, more or less, was, I'm just thinking about it now as I'm talking to you, didn't get the resistance because in the interim, Chassidus is infiltrated and inspired. I'm just going to say, because I mentioned, today is Yud Kislev, yesterday was Tes Kislev, the Alter Rebbe, the Mittler Rebbe's birth, today's his liberation, the whole opposition to Chassidus along the way. So it's for this fundamental reason, because it's all counterintuitive. And what do you mean after the Tachten? The endless resistance. So I think the Rebbe had the biggest resistance in a way, but the resistance to the Rebbe was I don't want to go into the whole story, but it came from one big quarter, the so-called leader of the literature world, and it was vehement. If you heard those public speeches. So the question is, mainly the Alter Rebbe, so the Alter Rebbe has had opposition to Vilna Gaon and so on. Vilna Gaon was the Vilna Gaon and the great Gaonim and Tainus. You can understand that. But just objectively, this guy, all he just got up there and just, the it is, and there were a lot of people that were, swept up in this, or at least confused. The answer is, on Giluyim, so the Helim on a Gilu is another Gilu, another Tzir. A time like this, a time like that. There's all kinds of legitimate questions on Chassidus. rayas like this, and they're changing things. Real legitimate. The Rebbe is already before Bias Mashiach. It's Gil Atmos Lamata, and on the etzem you can't come with arguments. So what's the opposition to etzem is just simply you're not. You're not. There's no seichel here. Just you're not. In other words, it's really the chutzpah of klippah. It's the etzem of klippah of Amalek that says no, sub-rationally. Ich bin, du bist nicht. That's the only thing you say to Atzmas. Can't come with an argument because then you see it in the face of Atzmas naked truth. It just melts. It has no validity. So the Rebbe's opposition was really someone foaming at the mouth, screaming in front of thousands of people. I said, it's nicht. Thank God that's over too. That's mamish over. Short-lived, very intense, caused a lot of gagus nefesh. But thank God it's behind us. Satma's behind it, everything, all the opposition. Not this is such an illustration, but I'm going to post it. I think I'll post it on the WhatsApp. In Boca Raton, my son sent it to me. It's one of the largest, maybe modern Orthodox, maybe more Orthodox than modern, I'm not sure, synagogues. The Boca Raton synagogue, famous shul. There's 3 rabbis. There's Rabbi Goldberg, the main rabbi, and 2 other, like Brody, and I forgot the other rabbi's name. They interviewed Moishe Kotlarsky. They have a program called Behind the Bima. Interviewed Ben Shapiro. They interviewed people of, they get people from down on the show. And the 3 rabbis just, fire away with questions. So Moishe, before the Kinnis was interviewed, you got to watch this, man. How the biggest praise that you could say to them is, you're also shluchim. Wow, we're also shluchim. And then each one tells a story. He tells the story with the Rebbe, and he could have gone and should have gone. And he was in Tzivas Hashem as a kid, openly embracing, not that they misnagged him, they're not at all, but just, I wouldn't hear this a few years ago, this mainstream, very popular shul, massive, how many thousands of members. And they're saying, when one of them said that he was a kid in Tzivas Hashem, and Moishe jokingly says, well, he said, never got beyond the rank of private. So Moishe jokingly says, I'm going to make you a general, because this is the biggest day of my life, he said. I'm not exaggerating, because it's even more. I'm just bringing out that today, Erev Mashiach, with all of the resistance, the old Satmar, I growing up, it was fights in the street, blood in the streets. In 1977, literally. Best friends, best buddies supporting Chabad. And so it's a wonderful time. And Baruch Hashem, it's all over. Okay, continuing. Now it's up to us. The resistance is down. Lemma says that in a way, after Gimel Tammuz, that made a big difference, because a lot of the resistance to Chassidus was they're going to become, and even in other Chassidish places, certainly Masaktish places, they're going to become the Lubavitcher Chassidim, followers of the Rebbe. And everybody knows that once you're on the Rebbe, nobody else really is. Big threat to their own position. So after Gimel Tammuz, the Rebbe is now out of the picture. Chassidus is not such a threat. And it maybe it's part of the Mesiras Nefesh, Who knows, maybe part of that kavanah to be able to bring Chassidus there, and they're not so afraid they're going to leave and go to 770 because the Rebbe's not there anymore. Not going to become the Babish. Who knows? Because that relief at the end is what it was. Couldn't argue that Chassidus Apikurusis is wrong, but they just knew that you become a Chassid, then their significance and their authority and opinion is just no longer taken with the same seriousness.
Continuous.
Huh?
It's all continuous. Chassidus still does the same thing. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about this.
They're worried about their position of authority. That's a very deep need. If that's the fact, you become the Lubavitcher, that's it. There's only Chassidus in the Rebbe. And you lose your whole position. So they thought that the Rebbe is not here, just like the philosophy. Okay, nicht gefällig.
I hear often the question
Ah,
from people about their like Sidis or things like that, but like today there's this openness to learn about this tradition, not and all these things, not they say why about students like rather than nothing else exists.
yeah, there's still that this isn't right.
So why? They're like, it's amazing that you have all these treasures right place.
Yeah, so actually, one of the, asked this once to the Rebbe outright was Cheskel Besser. Cheskel Besser, he had a son that lived here. Shlomo Besser he had a travel agency. Now he's a Rav in somewhere in New York. He said Cheskel Besser was a he was the head of the Aguda. He was like the secretary of Aguda, really the main, one of the Frum world's main, if not main, Asken. A wonderful man, very close to the Rebbe all the years. So he related this. He once asked the Rebbe, he says, why is it when I go into Ad Chassidische Stiblach, I'll see Svarim from Alexander, from Ger, and so on. I come to Lubavitch, all you see is Chabad. Your question, basically. So the Rebbe answered, if not mistaken, the Nakuda was that when you have various medications or vaccines, and then you have a vaccine, a medication that is, gets to the essence of it and heals in the deepest way, it doesn't make the other ones not valuable, but that's just the reality.
The Rebbe is basically saying everyone should be on the system. That's it. You have this vaccine, what do you need anything else?
Well, in a polite way of saying, yeah, before Bias HaMashiach, the answer to the challenges of our time is Chabad Chassidus. Yeah, that was then, and now. Not that this should not be learned, and it all augments, but now we've got to get to a vaccine that gets down to the core essence, the cellular level of Eibush, the Neshamas, the world at its core essence, and heal from there. And now that it's available. And this is not a theory; it's a mitzvah. This is what it is. You learn it, you see it. As someone said to me, not Lubavitch, he said you could. He said, just begashmi, books on a shelf, combine all of the svarim written by all of the Chassidish Kreisen, combined, are less than the svarim of Chabad, and maybe even less than the Rebbe svarim. I don't know, but certainly less than the Rebbe himself. But certainly less. So, okay, one book, less book, it's not the point, but just it's indicative of, just to tell you, here Atzmos we're talking about, that this is not dealt with in other places, not dealt with, but before Mashiach comes, this is what has to be dealt with. And we'll conclude with this. We're sitting there, as I said, this Rosh Hashanah, there's many manifestations of this. Today, our children, this is the Metzias, you cannot tell the kids you have to do. It's just, it doesn't work. I don't have to, you said. And they're right. Why are they right? As Manas Friedman points out so deftly and simply. You tell a kid you have to, what do you mean I have to? I didn't ask to be born. I did not ask to be here. You can't put demands on me. And that's darn true. So then why do you have to do anything? Answer is you do not. Nisave, the Eivish is asking, please do me a favor and do the mitzvah. That's the truth. That's the Atzmizdike cellular core MS. You're not obligated. You don't have to be MS. You didn't ask to be born. It's all because Hashem had this desire to create us in a relationship. And He's saying, please allow me into your life. That's the core of it. And that, if we express that honestly and live it, the kids will respond to it sooner or later. Because it's the MS. And that's what really touches the core. You have to, because if you don't, you won't give Gan Eden and you won't get a job. So I won't. I have to have Gan Eden. I have to have a job. I have to be, but I don't have to do anything. Why do I have to? Again, I did not ask to be born. And in fact, Rahman Lassam, They try to reverse the process sometimes. I didn't ask for this. So what's the answer? You don't have to, my dear sweet child. You're 100% right. Hashem wants you. He needs you. What does that mean? All Chassidus was revealed to explain that truth. It's the whole Chassidus, to explain that truth and to reveal that truth. And that's what the final generation is ready to hear and must hear. And rapidly, as I'm saying, the last few years, the resistance in the third world everywhere is dissolving. It's Nis'ave, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it's the Tachten, and it's your life. Your body's precious to me, everything, the details of the way you eat, I want to be part of it. It's everything to me. Please, Kel Deidi Doifek, peacefully, maybe you should open up to me. I want to be part of your life. That's the core. Your cellular, everything. That's the Emes Lamit. Yeah. Yes, yeah, 100%, because this emphasis is now the world. No one can be told what to do. So then, don't tell me, So what is the emphasis? Hashem, it's a request, please. And he takes responsibility. You're right. It's my choice. I created you. And I take responsibility at the end of the day. And I'm sorry, God says, I promise you one day you're going to understand, and I'll take responsibility so much that the pain that you had, I'm going to turn it all around, and you're going to experience it, and it's all good, and it was all me, and I apologize. Hashem, not just I apologize. This sounds like apikuris. It's not. It's right there in Chumash. Why do we bring on Rosh Chodesh, every Rosh Chodesh, a korban chatos? For me, says God, that I made the levana, diminished it, and now I'm a kabel, and that's the whole source of the whole halem after that, and pain and suffering. I apologize. Bring a korban chatas for me. Now in hindsight, this comes along, and look, it says it there, but before since came along, it was like one of these mysterious midrashim, they would move on. But Chassidus comes along and says, no, that's what it means. Paradoxically, the depth of it. And Hashem gets upset, he's upset. And when he's happy, he's happy. It's for me. And you and me, and we're all one. And you'll feel it one day, and retrospectively, I'll redeem all of the suffering in the past. And I'm sorry that you don't feel it now yet. And I can't even explain it now. One day. But meanwhile, it's all I want is you. Not me well. Now, then, now, and tomorrow. And you are everything to me. Each one of you is everything to me. All these fundamental this is what the only thing that will talk, because it's the only emes, and it's the end of Golos, and this is where we're at.